at that smile. It's Clay Enos. It's so funny because you've done so many incredible things. And when I first thought of meeting you, I thought you were so like you have this like thing on screen and then your pictures that you take that I was very
Oh, there's
scared. Like he's gonna be serious. He's gonna be like, you know. And then I meet you and you're just like the sweetest person I've ever met in my life.
oh, that's very nice. Thank you, Liz.
I wanted to talk to you because obviously your career is incredible, and I have a lot of people that respect you, including myself, obviously, and we love your work. I just wanted to ask you how you got started. Like, what shot did you ever take in your life that you're like, I have a shot at this. I'm good at this.
Well, I studied photography in college, so there was a hope that I would be a photographer. Of course, coming out of college, that wasn't really an option. But the timing was such that the world was changing. The World Wide Web was invented, Photoshop got invented. And so I sort of dove in on that front. And it wasn't until many years later that my friend Debbie invited us to the set of 300, where her boyfriend, or maybe fiance, but I think just her boyfriend, was was making 300. The next movie he did was Watchmen, and they invited me to be part of it.
That's amazing. Your style has always been that incredible lighting and like black and white. You always wanted to go for that vibe, or you found it throughout the process?
I think every photographer has their own kind of maybe style, or they're emulating somebody that they admire. And I had been making portraits, and that was kind of my job as a photographer before movie sets. And so I brought that skill set to the set. And of course, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, Zach didn't give me a whole lot of direction, and the job itself is there's no boss associated with the still photographer. You work with the publicist, and the studio has hopes to see photographs, but there's nobody there telling you what to do. You bring what you think is needed to the movie set. And in my case, I made portraits. And of course, then Watchmen was just so filled with amazing characters. It had 5 decades of costumes and makeup and the rest of it, aside from the panoply of characters. And so I was able to, or the Snyders suggested a book of portraits, and that ended up happening. And I don't know. I mean, it was everything in my life is kind of a random event. I'd love to say that it was all planned out, that I had this thing in mind all along. In fact, after Watchmen, I thought, oh my God, I will never do this again. Nobody told me how time consuming, how completely exhausting the process of filmmaking is. But of course, I'm still doing it 18 years later.
You had to be there every day because it's like you
Yeah.
would miss a capture if you didn't go.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird gig in that sense. I always joke that I'm the set mosquito. I'm sort of the only guy on set every day not making the movie. And so, and the set mosquito gets his blood and then tries, that you don't get swatted.
Right, right, right. Have you ever been in the way of a shot like your woman film, which is amazing, and there's a lot of crazy scenes like the horses and the Amazons and shoot. Did you ever fall? Did you ever got in the way of a shot and we're like, I'm sorry? And then you
Yeah, and I think all of us at some point, as close as we are to the action, we're going to screw up a shot here and there. And more often than not, it's probably still photographers, maybe a special effects person. But in that particular case, no, the camera's direction was very obvious, and I just followed behind it. Though I do remember on Sucker Punch, there was a scene where Vanessa Hudgens is throwing an axe, and I guess I didn't realize that the camera was going to pan, and so I was getting the shot of her throwing the axe, not realizing that the camera was going to pan right to me.
oh no, and then they saw you and they had to do it again.
I think at that point it was a CG. There was going to be a CG effect, so they didn't stretch it. But it's still embarrassing, you know.
That's so
You
funny.
try and stay out of the camera lens.
I try to take pictures. I'm like everything is blurry. The stress. You ever, forgotten your SD card or your CF, and you're like, oh, let's do that
Oh,
again. Let's do it one more time.
yeah, 18 years working, thousands of hours. I can't remember. I haven't logged into the union website later, but let's say it's about 17,000 hours. Yes, things go wrong. I've dropped cameras, broken things. I have under my bed is a little bin of all kinds of broken lenses and cameras. So that sort of thing happens. And that's why you build redundancies into your workflow. In a movie, it's increasingly these days, because the movie cameras are so sensitive, it's tricky sometimes to make a
Yes.
good, sharp image that tells the story of the film. So I'm constantly challenged and still learning and trying to do it better every time I get a chance to work on a film.
That's the beauty of it. Like the lighting changes so much and you just learn so much about your camera. You become one. You have that whole like leather strap thing going on and you're yoked and you just like there. It's like it's such a vibe, Clay. I love seeing like BTS of you in the films.
Oh yeah, I sneak in there once in a while. You know, the BTS person and myself, we get along, right? We sort of we'll at times there'll be only a little place to stand on set, and maybe if I feel like I've got it, then I'll invite the video guy in to do their thing. So there's a little bit of a shared space in there. So if I end up on the video, that's always fun. One of the sort of gifts of my job is that I make photographs on the sets of incredible productions. There's a $500,000 of production value in front of my camera every day. It's kind of hard to screw that up on some level. And the director of photography has built beautiful light. I can just walk in and take that picture. A monkey could take that picture on some level. My skills come in more in being that, not invited off, right? Not getting shooed away by a finicky actor or something like that, right? And to get in and get out before I'm disrupting a performance.
You're being very humble because I think there's something special about the way, for example, my favorite shots you've ever done, and it's very weird. You had like a white background, see like the back, such a mess, like everything, like just, and you see, Aquaman and Superman, but it's like such a clean, simple shot, yet so complicated. You have to have the talent and like it's not about the multi-million-dollar thing, it's about the vision, and it makes you stand out for sure.
Yeah, to be fair, those photographs, when I'm making a portrait of somebody on set, that does require a little bit of a relationship and a rapport. You might not do that day one, though sometimes you can. It's and you pull them aside, and those pictures you like on the white background, they're very much in the style of Richard Avedon, and they're natural light. You just find a big open garage door or stage door, in my case, or the back of a truck when it's north facing in the northern hemisphere, and that light is just soft and beautiful, and the photographs can be made. But the relationship piece is the one that is the hardest, really. If Henry's in a mood, or even Gal's just busy, right? She's the star of a Wonder Woman movie. For her to come aside with me for even 3 minutes can be tricky. But I've been really lucky over the years to be able to keep doing that,
That's
and
my
and I
favorite.
love doing that because that is the one moment when it is just me and the subject. I'm not the mosquito anymore. I'm more that traditional
Right.
role as photographer.
And they know it. They know it because your shots are absolutely gorgeous. And
Oh,
what's that one person that you work with that has an aura, an energy that just displays so easily on the screen out of like the Justice League team, for example, or Watchmen?
well, I mean the whole team, but
Right.
like it's hard to deny Momoa's energy,
Momoa?
right?
Are
The
we
guy's
going there
just
really?
Momoa is something else. He is just a striking specimen of a man, all right? So that's something else. But then you could go down the line. Um, for Ray Fisher to portray Cyborg the way
Mhm.
he did, even though he's having to wear that sort of pajama suit, to bring the energy for him to kind of know what was coming ahead was something to behold.
That is true.
Henry in the cape, right? Any Superman in their cape,
Right.
it's just this is archetypical stuff, right? The Santa Claus, Superman, these things are in your head, and so it's a delight to be photographing them. Wonder Woman, of course, and I don't need to tell you, even when you're in your costume, right? It's shocking
it's
actually
it's
how good a Wonder Woman you are. So
stop.
those things are it's hard. Look, I don't normally cry on movies, but Lady Gaga made me cry on A Star Is Born during, while working. So she is
Really? Like
undeniable in her
performing when she
presence.
was singing?
Yeah. I mean, she's legit.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is. She
So,
has one of the best voices ever. And
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
amazing
So,
to know. I didn't know that.
yeah, I mean, I don't generally admit that, but here I am.
You love Vero through social, and this video I'm gonna be sharing on YouTube and on Vero exclusively.
Right?
And I got to know you there. It's such a beautiful community, and it's such a human-made place. Why do you focus on Vero? I want to talk about it because they deserve all the love. Because for me, is where I met you and where we did
Yep.
a work together.
Yep. Look, I think it comes down to one word, and it's algorithms. The world is being corrupted, distorted, addicted by algorithms, and Vero doesn't have them.
Right.
Not in terms of what you'd think, right? To make the experience addictive, to keep feeding the dopamine centers of your brain, and I think that's really really important. That people somehow release themselves from those other places. But it's a tricky thing. This is going to end up on YouTube, and YouTube is going to sort of take advantage of
Right.
our energy. It's a complicated problem. But in my personal life, I don't have and don't use any of those platforms. I rarely am on YouTube. I'm certainly not going into whatever that little vertical nightmare thing is that competes with TikTok and the other the other things. Again, I'm
Right.
so clueless. I kind of know they're out there, but I'm just not going to engage. Partly because I know myself, and so Vero just becomes a kind of digital living room for me. There's people, or a digital cocktail party where I don't know everybody, but I do know most people, and I can engage them and see what they're sharing. And it's a very subtle, quiet, intimate thing that I would encourage people to come to, but they won't because they're all addicted, or
Right.
they're looking for some that other experience. I don't know. I think this thing gets worse before it gets better, meaning the algorithms. I'd encourage people to read a book called Weapons of Math Destruction to really explore the way algorithms are hijacking our minds. But in the end, we should proceed undaunted, creating, making, and share them wherever you need to for your either financial gain or for the attention you seek. But don't deny putting it in Vero too, because Vero will give you a more sincere audience.
Yeah, they punish you, they suppress you. And I have my Instagram, the little vertical thing that you said, for a while now, and it's kind of like a way to send people to Vero or like share my because people have it for a long time, and it's like how you get rewarded, like, oh, you have to post it. And lately we've talked about this. I started with cosplay, and lately I've been into creating more about learning, leaving a legacy of like learning things and taking the best out of all the things that I love, and this is one of them. And so I've been pushing for my channel for Vero, and I get suppressed. And then this one, like, it's like, whoa, they're literally punishing and not allowing me to create and use other platforms. Like, it's crazy serious how insane this controlling is for creators. And then it makes you not want to create. It makes you doubt your skills. It makes you say, my video got only a few views. That means I suck. I shouldn't do this or that. And really, the ones succeeding are the ones that push against that. And Vero has been a great way to share links and pictures, high
Yeah.
like videos, and without that issue.
And that's, to me, it's those are black boxes. You don't own your content. They
No,
could
you don't.
deplatform you at any time. There's another protocol that's emerged a few years ago that I would encourage people to explore. It's called Nostr, Nostr, notes and other stuff through relays. And in that world, there is no center. Even Vero has a CEO, right? We know him, and he's a lovely person. But and it's a centralized place to exchange and share info. Nostr is a solution because there is no center. It's a protocol of communication. So I'd encourage people to maybe start to build reputations there too,
Interesting.
even just as a backup for all the work that you do on YouTube, Vero, and elsewhere. So I think these things are going to emerge. We know in our heart of hearts that something's wrong,
Yeah.
that we're being used, and we're even twisting how we engage with the public to satisfy this black box algorithm. And I think something like Noster, and certainly the sanctuary that is Vero, give me hope that, and they just give me peace day to day, that I'm not part of that other machine.
It's important as a creator and as an artist to know there's a solution out there. You don't have to be brain rotting your content to be popular or to get your, for me, God sends my way like amazing things and guides my path of art. And so with you, like, let's talk about cosplay because I had just started my cosplay career like at the beginning and I could not believe the Clay Enos wanted to work together in a cosplay project as Wonder Woman. And I was like, this is fake. This has to be fake. Thanks to my friend Jason, I was like, okay, are you for sure this is real? I was like, I'll pay my ticket. I'll do anything to work with you. You don't understand the things that happen, that it's not up to you and your grind, it's up to your path and your destiny, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Much of my life is just random people I've encountered. So I
Yeah.
think that's right. Whether it's God or just good luck or both, I think that's a reasonable approach. And I think that people should listen to to those voices more
Yeah.
often rather than try and cater to algorithms.
Yeah.
But look, Liz, the shot that brought us together
Oh, that shot.
was was heavily inspired by something Zach had done. I love a mashup. I love a mashup with music. I love any kind of worlds colliding. Even when I'm traveling, it's so fun to see the way Brooklyn gets represented in the markets of Cambodia. It's just so my world is. I love that idea. And so Zach had a stormtrooper getting arrested by the Gotham City cops as if they had stolen the Batmobile.
Yeah.
Okay. And so there was just funny world. And I think at the time J.J. Abrams was filming a Star Wars. And so there was this wonderful kind of social media back and forth going on between Zach and J.J. I then had always had this image in my head of a Wonder Woman vanquishing a bunch of stormtroopers. And it never came to fruition with Gal, but you were you're almost sort of it's better than Gal because you're not being pulled in a thousand directions, and I can sort of stumble my way through the day making that picture rather than try and arrange it in the 10 minutes on set.
That was so funny. And like, if people don't know this, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but like, you made me put my head down for a reason. You look too much like, like Wonder Woman.
It's it's something else. And then the photo got made, and I think you or somebody, we all shared it. And it got on Gal's radar, and I was with Gal at the time, I think, and she asked if it was her. I don't know if it was. I feel like it was in person, but maybe it was an email. Uh, is this me? And of course, I had the sort of delightful answer with no, of course not. And Patty, of course, was up in arms. So, because everyone, look, when you spend years of your life making something,
Right.
whether it's embodying Wonder Woman or making movies, as Patty was, I understand a little bit of, hey, what are you doing? And
Right.
given that my proximity to all of them is obvious, we were having fun. It is fun, and I'm sort of stoked for you that Gal would have even thought that was her. You'd think you'd remember.
That was amazing. That was amazing. I'm blushing because that was like such a crazy moment. What? Well, and
I mean,
ever since,
maybe Gal thought it was Photoshop, but I mean, the fun of that photo is it's not.
it's amazing. And that picture, Vero, the Comic Cons. I wish Vero would like do it again in the future. It'd be so much fun.
I'm game.
You guys did like contests doing some cosplay competitions and it got crazier and you shot some amazing cosplays and you really love working with cosplayers and that's beautiful.
You sort of brought me into that world. I hadn't obviously I was photographing. You could argue that our actors are cosplaying,
Right?
right?
With a lot of money in their
Jason's
pockets.
cosplaying Aquaman. He's just on a slightly different stage. But all of the folks doing that stuff, it is so neat. What a wonderfully supportive, creative, crafty community, just coming together and expressing their love and fandom and putting it to into concrete material uh, form was inspiring. And I haven't done anything lately, just because my world I've been on the
Right.
road for almost a year. So, but I would jump back in and give a hand there if I could.
Favorite film that you ever worked on? Special moment, special memory?
I, I'm, it's tough for me to think in superlatives like the best or my favorite. Uh, All each film, each project, I mean, every day
Right.
on some level, there's some glimmer of awesomeness, My first film will always have a sentimental place. Uh, the Rebel Moon was just so epic and fun to work on, and I'd found my groove, perhaps career-wise. 16 years in, finally feeling comfortable. I think I think I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think my favorite is still to come.
One question from Susie Creates. I share on Vero that I was going to be interviewing her, and I wanted the community to get involved. And so Susie asked, "How exciting!" My question is about your time with my favorite Amazons, of course. When working with the Amazon women and the variety of cast and main actors, background village folks, I can't even speak English, and the professional athletes, which were the most fun to pose, or did they need any guidance? Were there mostly candid shots?
I mean, I did a bunch of portraits of them, and I would say the majority of the by number, right? Like we're just local folks, Spanish folks, who we picked up. There's a bunch of stuff that was shot in the arena, I think, in the early part of Wonder Woman 1984, and so a lot of those Amazons were just local Spanish folks, and uh, they were maybe had been in movies before, and so I would pull them aside and make portraits of them, and that was really fun. Now, of course, the athletes and some of the more featured performers were so striking and knew how to do their thing, and that makes my job easier. But it isn't always as emotionally fun when you can. There's one woman in particular. She had super freckly, right? I was a really freckly kid, and I loved it. I picked her out and I said, you're beautiful. Come with me. And you could watch her light up. She was super self-conscious and embarrassed by her freckles. And now all of a sudden she's in my big studio and it was
Right.
pulling her offside, and I'm making portraits of her. I mean, it was really sweet to watch her kind of brighten and get confident in that little process. So sometimes being a photographer is all take, but sometimes it's give too. That's a sidebar, really, to ask Susie Create's question. It it's been a while, but the Amazons themselves, and there were Amazons in Zach's movie too.
Right.
They're just so. It's to me that's like the ultimate feminism. Like it's strong, physically strong women who are capable, who can't be fooled, who are um, ready to chop your head off, but also seduce you. And I think that's a really great little combination. So,
Thank you, Clay.
yeah.
Thank you so much. And yes, you do make an impact. I remember leaving the studio when we put the Wonder Woman song and just like everything and your words and you showing me the picture. It took my cosplay confidence to the next level, and I owe it to you, for real. Like this was a big
Well,
part of
Liz, I,
my.
I am just a stepping stone. Your energy, your enthusiasm, your talent, and actually a real love of life and the world around you doesn't go unnoticed. I certainly have noticed it, and so I wish you all the
Thank you.
best.
Thank you so much. Find Clay on Vero through social. And he's very awesome. And he always chats back with the community and engaging. And so find us there, guys. Have a beautiful day. Thank
Bye.
you, Clay.